Hey, Closet Busters, come on and gather around. It's time once again to kick down those closet doors of life. We're here to escape our BS, explore our fears, and elevate our self-expression. I'm your host, Rick Clemens, bold move expert and coming out coach, and I'm going to take you to the party, the pulpit, the wake, and back to the party of living your life uncloseted. So come on, grab hold of yourself and get ready to step out, step up, and step into living your truth as we explore more stories, tips, and tricks for living your life uncloseted. Now let's get to the show. Hey, Life Uncloseted, boys and girls, men and women, and everything in between. It is time for another episode of Life Uncloseted. And you know what? Sometimes the universe is just such an interesting thing. You kind of meet people, and I know this will happen to all of you. You kind of see somebody online, and you're like, wow, they're really connected to a whole bunch of my friends. And then a friend of the friend ends up being on a podcast. In fact, Michael Barber, which some of you heard probably a few months ago at this point. And then somebody makes a comment, says, oh, I really like this stuff. And then I'm like, well, you look fabulous, honey, so maybe we should be friends. And that's just kind of how this whole thing kind of happened. Is today's guest is just somebody that, as I started looking at some of the stuff she did and does, and I'm like, she really, really would be a great guest here on Life Uncloseted. She has done stuff in the White House, not the current one, God forbid, and just stuff with institutions and organizations, like really helping people step into possibility and having confidence and doing the things that just moves the ball forward. And as I was thinking about, gosh, end of the year, what would be a good show between Christmas and New Year's? And there's more to this because she's got a book coming out in 2019, but we're not going to talk a whole lot about that because we're going to bring her back. But this show's going to be about doing that stuff you need to do, getting ready for the new year, stepping into your power, being who you're meant to be, and committing to doing exactly what you're meant to be, no matter who you are. And I just want to introduce my new friend, Laura, who is so far just been a social media friend, but we've had some chats via social media, and her name is Laura Gassner Otting, and I'm so excited to have you here, girl.
I am so excited to be here. We're going to be good friends, you and
me.
We
are going to be good friends, and I figured, what the heck, between Christmas and New Year's, there's nothing better than a gay man and a straight woman who've just like, okay, let's just get this year done, and let's get into the next one. And you've got an exciting year coming up, by the way, with the book and all that stuff, right?
I do. I have a really exciting year, but every year is an exciting year if you make it that way. Like, I fully believe that there is an adventure around every corner if you just look hard enough. And sometimes all you really do is open your eyes. So, I think we all have exciting years coming up.
I agree. And, I love the stuff that you do because you've done some really amazing stuff with, the White House stuff. And we'll get into some of that because I want you to kind of tell a little bit of the story. But the thing that started catching my eye, other than, you kind of made a comment on Michael's podcast when he was on with me.
Because Michael's amazing.
He is. He's an amazing guy. And we connected. And it was funny because he and I connected through friends of friends. And, we're all speakers. So, we kind of just start connecting around as we do what we do. But it was just like, I really wanted to have you on here because you've kind of taken this whole thing of confidence and going and doing your thing and then realizing, kind of as you just said, every year can be a good year, but then there really is limitless possibilities, which is the book that's coming out. But the way to get there is truly the mindset. It's about taking life and going, okay, so yeah, I've been dealt a shitty deck of cards at times, but what do we do with that? And where do we go from that? And what do we do when we get the good cards? So how did you kind of step into this space that you're like kind of owning right now in your own way?
Yeah, it's funny. I call myself a confidence catalyst.
Yeah.
I've had people who've said to me, I sit down and I have coffee with you, or I talk to you on the phone, and I read your blogs, and at the end of it, I feel like I've got like lightning bolts in my veins, and I can just do anything. Yep. And here's like the magic secret is that I don't actually do anything special. I just hold up a mirror and reflect people's greatness back on them. Like, all of us have greatness inside of us. And we forget that we have this greatness because we're so busy looking on social media and comparing ourselves to other people, or deciding that, my fourth grade teacher told me I was supposed to be this, and I turned out that I don't like that, and now I'm unhappy. Or, I thought I loved this kind of person, but I really love that kind of person, and what is society going to think? And I think it's really not until we say, screw everyone else and screw everyone else's opinions and screw everyone else's expectations and figure out what causes us joy, and then figure out how to live that life that we can be limitless, which again is part of the book that's coming out.
Yep.
But what I love to talk to people about is there is a place in which each one of us inhabits the very best version of ourselves. Like when we're really feeling good. And this isn't like some, like hippy dippy, like flower haired girl, sitting in a field of poppies going, follow your dreams, follow your passions. Like that's horseshit. Yep. I think what this is that there is a moment when each and every one of us is firing on all cylinders. We are being the very best versions of ourselves. We are making it rain. We are closing the deal. We are bringing our customers, flying through the doors, or maybe we're sitting with a loved one and we're having this quiet, reflective moment, or we're helping somebody through this really difficult time. It could be loud, it could be quiet, but there's a moment when we are 100% aligned with everything that we can do well. And that's the person that we should be. Like, we have to stop trying to fit the round peg in the square hole. Like, I don't care how great your life looks on social media. We all have a freak flag. And it's not until we decide to fly it high and fly it proud that we can fly it happy. And so I'm just really all about seeing that greatness in other people and reflecting it back on them so that they can go, yeah, you know what? I'm actually pretty awesome, and live into that person.
Okay, so see why I had her on. I could just go, okay, it's her show. I'm going to sit back here and eat bonbons and drink wine, because everybody that listens knows that I record this in my wine closet. So, I didn't bring the bonbons today. Oh, well.
I mean, why would you want to be uncloseted if you're in the wine closet?
Exactly.
Place to
I'm
be.
like, no. It's like, no, we need all this. This is a great place to be. But I love what you brought up, Laura, because it plays to how this podcast got started years ago, which was the Coming Out Lounge. And it's really about the LGBT community, when I started it, coming out and letting their freak fly. It's like, just do it. Yes, we have trials, and I love my community, and I get it because, I'm a gay man, so I get the stuff that we kind of go through. But when you realize, you just be yourself. And if somebody else can't take it, well, that has nothing to do with you. And it doesn't even have to be with sexuality. What I love about you just said is, when you let your freak fly, you're being your best version of you, and nothing can hold you back except you thinking, oh, I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't be this way. That's the key.
Yeah. And where do we get the I shouldn'ts and I can't and it's not okay if I am? Where do we get that from? Like, it's not coming from us internally. It comes from someone outside putting this idea on us that there is a definition of best and happiness and success and fulfillment. And every time we work hard to try to fulfill someone else's idea, every time we try to fill all those check boxes, we just get tired, right? We're so busy living into their version of success that not only are we not successful because we're only an iterative version of them, right, we're not ourselves. And you can't, I spent 20 years doing executive search, and I studied and interviewed and recruited and stewarded thousands of leaders in massive moments of career change and upheaval. And here's what I learned. I never really looked for somebody who had subject matter expertise, because honestly, you can read a book. I mean, Albert Einstein once said, you don't need to know anything. You just need to know where to find the information. And that was before the internet, right? So we need to know even less now. Anybody can learn the information. I looked for 5 things. I looked for hunger, weight, tenacity, speed, and grit. And here's the thing. You cannot be tenacious. You can't be gritty. You can't be insatiably hungry about somebody else's dream. Like, it has to be yours. So you have to figure out, this is the thing that I love. This is the thing that turned me on. This is the community I want to live in. These are the people who make my heart sing. And live in that world, because that world is the world that's going to make you even better than you are.
So I think we both have a common friend, I think, Tamsin Webster, don't we?
Yes.
Okay, so Tamsin she sent out an email a few weeks ago, and it was all about these proverbs and being who you are, and these short phrases that Jay Bear and, some of these people say. And so the one that I came up with, which is something that I've had different iterations of it, but after that email came out, I sent her an email and said, hey, Tamsin, what about this? Pretending to be someone you aren't isn't the problem. forgetting who you are is, which
Yes.
really is what you just said. The moment we forget who we really are is the moment we are being some other version of ourselves for somebody else. And it doesn't work, folks. I mean, you may think it is, but it doesn't work. You got to be you.
You gotta be you. I mean, I have a freak flag and I am damn proud of it. It is great. And, there have been times in my life where I tried so hard to be somebody else. I mean, I graduated from college when I was 20 and I went to law school early, and I sat there in the law school class thinking I was going to run to become the first female senator from the great state of Florida, and I was going to solve all the problems that way. And it turns out I don't actually like being on center stage. Like, I like being stage left. My favorite place in the world is to be stage left supporting somebody who is center stage that's changing the world. And it's ironic because I now make my living as a public speaker because I've come to accept the fact that there are moments where the stage wants me there.
Yep.
But there are times when I'm so much better on the side. And it's funny because I also have become known recently as like a badass. Like, I'm a competitive rower. I've run marathons. And I was always the kid who was picked last for every single team ever. Like, I went to computer sleepaway camp. I mean, I was like a capital N nerd, probably a capital N, capital E, capital R, capital E nerd. And the day before I turned my book in and pressed send on my final manuscript, I was so stressed out that I took Ambien, and I had this adverse reaction to it, and I tripped over my own feet and I crashed on my ass, and I bruised my tailbone, and I literally was sitting on an inflatable donut for 2 weeks, right? While that happened, I got trolled on Twitter by Ann Coulter, and I started getting hate threats and death threats and all kinds of crazy stuff. So here's my freak flag. Like, I'm a righteously indignant, hyper-competitive, curse word spewing, confidence catalyzing spaz. I'm Britney, bitch. Like, that's who I am.
Exactly. And if people can't handle it, fuck them. That's just the way I look at it.
Exactly. Yeah? Like, I mean, I am this crazy, complex, maelstrom. I mean, people are always like, well, what time zone are you? And you travel so much. And I'm like, I'm my own time zone. I'm my own weather system. We should all be our own weather systems.
Yep. It's interesting because I was potentially going to work with I'm going to just say a PR company to keep it like generalized because I don't want to call these people out, but doing a bunch of stuff, going through some of their intakes and everything, and thought things were moving along. And they came back and said, well, we like you. We think you're a great guy, but you know what? You're a little bit too brash, and you're just a little bit too raw, and you're a little bit too, I don't know. I'm like, I'm real. That's what I am.
You're a little bit too wrong for me.
Yeah, bye-bye. I did. I said, bye-bye. Thanks for wasting my time for the last month, having me do all this crap for me to, it's not like any of my stuff's hidden. I'm gay. I throw the F-bomb when I feel like doing it. I'm very straightforward. I don't hide anything. If that wasn't what works for your brand, you should have never even started the process, But the thing is it takes that kind of confidence to go, cool, I'm out of here then. I can find somebody else who can do this work for me and be totally cool with it. But sometimes people get caught up in this thing of, oh, I can't do that because what if? Screw the what ifs. Yes, they're there. We know the what ifs are there. But sometimes you just got to go, the what if that I want is so much more worth the what if that I don't want.
Absolutely. And, I think it comes from this question that we're always asked. Like, we get together in these little, happy hope circles, and people are like, what would you do if you couldn't fail? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, what would you do if you couldn't fail is an I wish question, right? It not only does it gets you nowhere, but it also reinforces all the things that you've already told yourself you can't do. Like, oh, if I couldn't fail, I would do these 17 things that I already know I either don't have skills at, or are not possible, or are not within my, ability to do. And I'd rather people not ask themselves an I wish question, but ask themselves an I can question. So, like, if you were the very best version of yourself, what would you be doing right now in this situation? So, like, this PR company is saying to you, if we couldn't fail putting you out as this brand of a person, we would massage you in these 16 different ways. Well, that's horseshit, right?
Yeah.
The very best version of you is somebody who drops the F-bomb at exactly the right time.
Exactly.
Doesn't not say it, but does it exactly right. So
at the right time, exactly.
Right. So, like, if they could figure out and analyze the skills that you should be using, the emotions that you'd be feeling, the muscles you'd be flexing in a way that augmented and amplified you,
Yep.
as opposed to like trying to put together a package and then selling that package. Because even if they're wildly successful selling that package, then you're not in consonance. You're like basically playing a part. Like you might as well be on Broadway. Like we want you to be you, because you can't be you and have a podcast about being uncloseted if you're faking it and you're
No, I can't fake it. And it's so interesting because over the last 6 months, I have held myself back. I don't know why, other than I know I was growing and I know I was going a direction. And then when I realized, wait, the reason I'm holding myself back is because I've been doing what I did when I was coming out of the closet. I was playing the game the way other people were telling me. And the moment I said, fuck this, I'm going to be me. I'm going to be the me I've always been up until these last 6 months. And there was some weird stuff going on. I know I was not feeling good. I know my body was saying, all this stuff was coming up. And the moment I had the confidence to step forward and go, nope, this is the way I'm doing it, everything started to change. I got a weekly column with the Good Men Project. I got hired by another company to do some coaching for them. I started getting some speaking gigs. I got really clear on what my speaking life would look like. And I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, this is great. This is exactly what it means to be myself. And the people that I'm meant to serve show up. That's just the way it is.
And do you think it's because they felt the energy, they could feel your authenticity and your integrity and your joy for what you were doing?
Yeah, exactly. In fact, in the last couple of months, I've had more people send me emails about the podcast. Like, oh my God, that was killer. Because I'm just like, yeah, screw this. This is how this is. This is the way it's going to be. This is what I'm going to say. In fact, John, I don't know, you probably know him, John Pavlovitz. He's the Christian preacher who has Things Need to Be Said blog. And he's just out there about, this is not Christian. This is not, and he's always all over our lovely president and all that stuff. And I started leaning into him, not like literally, although he's really, really damn hot, but leaning in and watching his brand and going, he's the epitome of my brand. And the only thing I have to do differently is put my spin on it. Because he talks about, I'll give you a good example. Real Christians have lost their way if they're going to follow Cheeto. So that would be one of his headlines, right? And I thought, I would actually say something like that, except what I would say is real men have lost their way if they're not going to follow a Me Too movement. It's that like spin on something, like this is what it would be. Gay men, you've lost your way if you're going to keep following other gay men who tell you how to be gay men. That would be the sort of stuff I would say. Quit, all this sort of stuff. And that's when the power steps up. That's when you get in alignment. And the moment I had that thought about him, well, not the thought that he was really hot, but the moment that I had the thought about him, like,
I gotta look this guy up.
Yeah, he's a very handsome guy. I was like, wow, I just got called deeper into what I'm supposed to be doing in the way I want to do it. Because I've always been the coming out coach, the gay man's life coach. But now I know this work with men. Like, I want men to give up their bullshit. I want them to go, this is how I'm going to show up as a man. This is the way I want to show up, not the way the rest of the world tells me a man's supposed to show up. And somebody heard me say that a few weeks ago on a podcast, and he actually picked up the phone and called me.